They will call you cold, unmoved, detached. But what they don't understand is that you have learned to master the self, to master the moment. You have learned that not every emotion deserves a reaction, and not every reaction deserves your energy. They want you triggered, they want you impulsive. Because a man ruled by emotion is a man easily controlled. He who is quick to anger is always the one who regrets it later, because anger blinds. It robs you of clarity. And what starts as a defense becomes a trap. Emotions are not the enemy, but they are not the compass. They rise, they crash, they change, they exaggerate, they lie. But logic remains. Still, clear, rooted. A man who leads with emotion is a man drifting in waves, but a man grounded in logic, in principle, in purpose. He becomes the unmoved mountain in the storm. Not because he doesn't feel, but because he understands. Because he has endured enough to know reacting isn't always responding. You can feel the fire and still choose not to burn everything down. You can feel the pressure and still hold form. You can be hurt and still not retaliate. Because restraint is power. Restraint is freedom. Every time you withhold a reaction, you protect your energy. Every time you choose silence over outburst, you preserve your peace. Every time you let someone else be loud while you remain still, you reveal their chaos, not yours. The loudest one is rarely the strongest. The quickest one is rarely the wisest. And the one who controls himself controls the battlefield. In war, emotion is the enemy. In business, emotion is the liability. In love, emotion must be balanced with clarity. That's not being cold. That's being prepared. Because life will test you. People will test you. They will push buttons they didn't install. They will try to provoke you into forgetting who you are. But stoicism is remembering. It's knowing that how you respond is the only thing that is ever truly yours. You can't control the weather. You can't control the betrayal. You can't control the delays. You can't control the disrespect. But you can control your breath, your words, your posture, your pace, your principles. And in doing so, you remain in command of your peace. The world wants you to trade peace for reaction. It wants you to be loud when you feel wronged. It wants you to lash out when you feel disrespected. It wants you to lose it. Because once you lose it, you're no longer centered. And once you're off center, you're easier to manipulate. But the Stoic knows. To hold form is to hold power. Even when insulted, even when ignored, even when falsely accused, even when everything in you screams to react. Because wisdom isn't what you know, it's what you do when you're tested. And strength isn't what you show when things are easy. It's what you carry quietly when everything is loud. The calm man lives longer. He thinks clearer. He speaks less. But his words carry weight. He doesn't chase validation because his confidence is inward. He doesn't crumble under rejection because his self-worth isn't on the line. To be stoic is not to be numb. It is to be in full awareness and still choose peace. There is a time to speak, a time to fight, a time to confront. But the wise man waits, he watches, he assesses. He moves only when necessary. And when he moves, it is with intention. This is the foundation of freedom. To feel emotion but not be ruled by it. To encounter conflict but not become chaotic. To know pain and still choose patience. To witness foolishness and not be pulled into its orbit. Because emotion is contagious. It spreads like fire. If you're not careful, you'll catch someone else's dysfunction and wear it as your own. But when you are still, when you are anchored, when you are clear, you become the antidote to madness. They will call you unbothered. They will call you distant. They will call you emotionless. Let them. Better to be misunderstood in mastery than praised in chaos, because emotion fades, but consequences linger, and a moment of impulse can take a decade to repair. So be calm, be silent, Let your presence speak. Let your clarity sting. Let your consistency echo. And remember, the strongest man is not the one who swings first. It's the one who knows exactly when not to. Everything you feel doesn't need to be shared. Everything that stings doesn't require revenge. Everything that provokes you doesn't deserve your presence. Be water when needed. Be stone when required. But always remain sovereign. Your emotions are guests. Treat them with respect. But don't let them redecorate your house. Because the storms will come, the pressure will mount, and people will push. But you don't move unless purpose tells you to. You don't speak unless truth guides your tongue. You don't act unless the mission demands it. This is how kings move. This is how legacy is built. This is how peace is preserved in a world addicted to noise. You are not emotionless. You are in control. And that is the rarest form of power. You will not always be understood when you choose to remain calm. People want reaction. People want theatrics. But you give them consistency. That confuses the world more than rage ever could. Every time you remain composed, you win a silent battle. Not for them, but for you. For the part of you that once thought anger meant strength. For the part of you that confused reaction with relevance. Control is not about suppression. It is about redirection. It is about taking the raw flame of emotion and turning it into focused light, into clarity, into forward motion. The man who can pause before reacting is the man who rules himself. And the man who rules himself rules everything around him. He leads, not by domination, but by presence. People follow those who don't flinch in chaos. They trust the ones who stay level when storms rage, because peace is rare. And when you embody it, you become valuable beyond words. This isn't about being robotic. This is about being disciplined. Every hard moment in your life, every betrayal, every failure, they all gave you a gift. The gift of insight. The gift of inner steel. And now you use it, not to fight everything, but to face everything with composure, with presence, with purpose. You're not above emotion, you're just not enslaved by it. And that's what sets you apart. That's what makes you immovable. That's what makes you rare. In a world where outrage sells, your silence is sacred. In a culture where attention is currency, your restraint is wealth. You don't speak to be heard. You speak to bring shift, to bring clarity, to bring weight. When you speak less, your presence says more. When you feel deeply but respond slowly, you tap into wisdom. When you are pressed but do not panic, you become the anchor. The storm isn't going away, but your reaction is your revolution. Breathe, stand, remember who you are, and keep your sword sheathed until the mission calls for it. Because you don't move for noise, you move for purpose. And purpose doesn't shout, it doesn't flinch, it just moves, like you.